So this is the microwave measurement laboratory, and if we go inside we can see the first microwave test bench consisting all the microwave components starting from the gun oscillator, the pin modulator, isolator, attenuator, diode frequency meter. This is a run section which has been connected to a digital oscilloscope using the BNC cable, and the last component is the mesh termination, so empty is written, and it has been giving signal to the gun diode. Gun diode is placed between the waveguide, inside this waveguide. You can read also the gun oscillator NV201, it is a model, followed by the pin diode. So you can see the BNC cable which is connected. This is the BNC cable connected to the gun diode for giving the power supply to the gun diode, or proper passing to the gun diode, so that it can work in the negative resistance region to work as an oscillator. The high frequency which is being generated from the gun diode is coming out, and it is modulated with the low frequency signal generated by the pin diode SN modulator. So this is the biasing connection or biasing voltage provided to the pin diode using this cable. And then we are having another test bench. It is not complete, only the matched load is missing. You can see the VSLR meter, and also you can read the company name. We are also having the klystron mount. So this is the klystron tube. It is normally known as a reflex klystron. So this waveguide is known as, where we can able to mount the klystron tube, is the klystron mount waveguide. It is followed by an isolator, attenuator, frequency meter. We can read the frequency using this frequency meter. The readings are visible over here. And then we are also having the start and section. Okay, so it is incomplete. Another micro test bench is over here. So this experiment we have, or this bench is working so that we have able to perform some experiment, and you can see one square wave is visible on the CRO, and also have connected a VSLR meter, so we can read the VSLR reading as well as the power reading on this analog scale. There are some knobs which we have seen in our theory class also, that there is a gain is having the one is coarse knob, and one for the fine tuning you are having the fine knob. In addition to that, you are having another test bench. Okay, for performing the number of experiment. Again, this is a gun diode paste. So gun diode, pin modulator, isolator. This is the frequency meter, diode detector, and this is mass load, CRO, gun power supply. We are having another bench. So this is the gun power supply. It is connected to the gun diode modulator, pin diode, isolator, attenuator, frequency meter. We can directly read the frequency value over here, and then using some waveguide component that's known as a band, because waveguide is bent over here from this point to this point, and using another band we can able to height, or we can able to increase the height of a waveguide. And then this is a diode detector. Crystal diode is placed in between of this diode, and then we are having the horn antenna. So this is a pyramidal shape of horn antenna. You can see this pyramidal shape of horn antenna, and opposite to this we are having another horn antenna, and followed by the detector, which can be connected to the accelerometer to measure the receipt power. So in this way we are having the total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 benches in the department. And in addition to that, we are having another sophisticated instrument, that is the scalar network analyzer. And this is the scalar network analyzer display, some control keys, and on the bottom side we are having the sweep oscillator. Okay, we are having the sweep oscillator. We can able to generate the frequency from the sweep oscillator and give into the scalar network analyzer to get some power. Very old model of accelerometer is also available. You can see the manufacturer is the Hewlett Packard. So still for the demo purpose we can use, but it is not in operation. In addition, for getting that power measurement, we can use the power meter. Again, the Hewlett Packard model. You can see the model number 438A of the power meter. This is also very old and it is still working very well. And in addition to that, we are having some micro strip component which is made in technical collaboration with the IIT Delhi. And if you see this component, we are having few components. Okay, so these are the basic components which are normally the waveguide components or planar circuits are having in this kit. We are having a max strip line. You can see 3 strips are there, and on the bottom side we are having also a gold coated copper plate. So this is the thickness of, you cannot able to see, this is 0.635 mm thickness of height of the substrate, and on that you can see 3 copper layers are made. So 3 microstrip lines are made. So microstrip line is simple transmission line. We are having very thin line on the top, and on the bottom we are having the full ground plane. So all components are made on the microstrip line technology. There are some components on the antennas, ring couplers, filters, etc. So they are having the various shapes, and design and detail of these we will see in the next semester. So this is a little bit exposure of the microwave test bench component and what are the facilities we are having for the first semester lab. Okay, now you can see physically this is this Klystron power supply. So the Klystron power supply, it is having a display which can able to present the beam voltage. So for understanding this power supply, you must go through the knowledge of the reflex klystron, which must be available in the book by George Kennedy, or you can refer to the book by Liao. So Liao required some information, or will give you information that how the different voltages are required to use the reflex klystron as an oscillator. So when we are using the oscillator as a reflex klystron, it will require a beam voltage which is controlled by the V, which are able to see here. And if I change this knob, this time the display will read the current which is going on. And if I change to the REP is representing the Rippler voltage applied to the reflex klystron, and this time it is showing minus 153 of Rippler voltage. So this will the control knob for the display, that which particular value you wanted to see, whether the voltage beam voltage V, beam current C, or Rippler voltage REP. You can control the beam voltage also. So by changing the beam knob, this beam knob, I can able to control the beam voltage, which is shown over here. If I change the last knob, if you see a little bit here, so Rippler is written. So this is the Rippler voltage control knob. Always the Rippler voltage is negative. We can modulate this output signal from the klystron tube by the two techniques, either the AM or the FM. The top two knobs can able to change the frequency of the modulating signal, whereas these two will able to change the amplitude of the modulating signal. Okay, so these two knobs are used for the amplitude modulation. To control the frequency of amplitude modulated signal we will be using this knob, and for controlling the amplitude of the AM signal or the modulating signal will be using this knob. Similarly, this is for the FM knob. The other modulation technique which you can select is the continuous wave modulation, amplitude modulation, FM modulation and external modulation. Normally we keep the amplitude modulated signal to measure or to perform the experiment on the microwave test bench. This option of external modulation is available in form of a female BNC connector. If you wanted to use any external modulated signal, one can use this particular BNC knob to feed the external signal, and then you can see this power is coupled, or this wire, black wire, is connected to the klystron tube. So this is the klystron tube. We are having some number specified for this model, and actually X band is having some particular number for this reflex klystron. And the model of this reflex klystron tube for X band is 2K25. So 2K25 is a number which represents X band klystron tube. And you can see on the back side of this klystron tube cooling fan is present, so it will keep cool this reflex klystron tube, because vacuum tubes normally heat up when applied by continuous input voltage. So this is the role of this tube, and this tube at the bottom they are having number of pins, and this is the reflex klystron. You can see there are 5 pins are available. 4 looks to be same and 1 is external and long. So the 4 are representing connections for four kind of a signal. One signal is the beam voltage signal, second signal is the Rippler voltage signal, or second knob is for the Rippler voltage. The third is for the modulating signal, and fourth one is representing the pin for the ground. And the last one, which is longer than others and different also, you can see this is actually having a shape of the coaxial line. At the center we are having very thin narrow wire which is representing the center conductor or inner conductor of the coaxial line, and then it is covered by the white colored Teflon. Teflon is normally having the white color only, and then we are having the external connector which is covering on the outer side. So in this form, this is forming a coaxial line, and this is the signal which is taking out the RF signal coming out from this probe, and this is actually inserted like this. So this longer one goes inside the waveguide, and so the microwave can able to come out from the reflex klystron to the waveguide through this RF pin. Once the micro signals are coming out from this klystron tube to this waveguide, they are going in a forward direction. Since at the end we have terminated this klystron mount waveguide by this kind of a metallic section, so it stops propagation of the signal on this direction, on left side. It will have to move on one direction only. So this RF signal or the macro signals Right now the X band signals are coming out and they are reaching to the isolator. So as we already discussed and seen that oscillator depending on the arrow. So arrow is representing the direction of the forward traveling wave. So as per this arrow, this signal is moving from input port of this isolator to the output port of the isolator. The signal cannot come reverse. If it will come reverse by any means, it has to be terminated inside this oscillator only, and so we can able to safeguard this microwave source part. Okay, micro source part. And so the isolator is basically used to avoid the damage of the RF signal due to the reflected signal or reverse traveling waves. Then we are having the second component, attenuator. Okay, attenuator, as you can see, so I'm going to show how the attenuator will work. So this is attenuator, and by taking this up direction, what we can see, there is a placement of inside the attenuator, there is a placement of the resistive sheet. Okay, resistive sheet, and if I decrease it down, so I'm decreasing it, and you can see at the center of a waveguide there is insertion of the absorbing material sheet, and which is at the center of a waveguide able to absorb the microwave signal. So we are feeding the signal from the input side, and if we check the power at the output side, we can see due to insertion of the resistive absorbing material, which is controlled by the movement of this micrometer, the micro signal will be absorbed. So as it is on the downward side moving, the absorbing sheet is going more inside of the waveguide cross section, and so it will able to absorb the microwave power. So this is the way one can use the attenuator. So normally when we do the measurement, we normally keep this on the top, so we can see there is no resistive material, and so signal will propagate from input to the output side of the attenuator without any observing or without any absorption or attenuation. So you can see the roti 1A is all come on the top. So roti 1A absorbing material sheet will be placed over here when this is on the top position. This side also we can see it is on the top position. So this is attenuator placed, and we normally use this one to reduce the output power if the input power is too large and it is beyond the range of the CRO or the VSWR meter. Next component is the frequency meter. Frequency meter is having the arrangement like we are having a center position over here, and then you can see the two rings or two maroon color rings are placed here. If you wanted to read the measurement of a frequency, you always focus that the reading should be taken in order that the value which is just behind this red line and between these two rings will be noted down as a frequency. Right now, if I go to the measurement of frequency, this particular frequency meter is calibrated against the X band frequency range. You can see here the bottom value is 8.2 and the maximum value is again going more than 12 gigahertz. So if you go further beyond, it is going to stop at 12.4 gigahertz. It is going to stop at 12.4 gigahertz. So this is already calibrated against the X-band frequency range. X-band is from 8.2 to 12.4 gigahertz. So we can read the value here. Right now the value is we will see the values between the two maroon color ring. One is representing 9.52 and here we are having the 9.54. That means this is 5.2, this is 5.25, this is 5.3, this is 5.35. So right now the value which is shown on this setting is representing the frequency value of 9.535 gigahertz. So if you rotate this one, we can see some dip over here, and that will give you the frequency measurement. We will see this frequency measurement later on. Now next component is the solid line section. This is not very good colored. I will change, but you can see that the vernier scale is already printed on this small scale, and a centimeter scale is here. You can set, or we can read the probe position. This is known as the probe, and the probe position can be read where we require the settings of the V maxima and the V minima on this slotted line. So why it is known as a slotted line? You can see at the center of a waveguide a slot is made at the center. Here the slot area is less. At the center the slot area is little bit larger. So we can have fixed this kind of arrangement between which we can easily move the slotted line probe. So you can see there is a movement of the slotted line probe, and we can see some settings of the values which will be noted down from this scale. And then we are having the diode detector. Now the diode which is placed in this detector is same as it is placed over here. Okay, I will show you how this diode look like. So this is a strand probe, and if I open this one, this is the diode. This is the diode, and in this diode we are having one of p-type, one contact is on the p-type and one contact is on the n-type. So you can see how we can identify the contacts of n-type and p-type on this crystal diode detector. So this kind of a same diode is placed over here, as well as same diode is placed between these waveguide. So we can able to see the output from RF signal detection to the high frequency detection to the low frequency amplitude on either on a piezo meter or on the CRO. The last component which is connected after the end of the diode detector is the match termination, and you can see the match termination is totally terminated on this side. And if you see the match termination, I don't know how beautifully you are able to see. It is totally, you can look the picture in, this is having the absorbing material placed on this side, this place in a pyramidal shape. So all the microwave power which is coming to the diode detector. Some power will be directed to see the power output, and then at the end all the power is being absorbed in the microwave mass termination. So this is the last component in the micro test bench. So you can see how we are able to see the square wave on the microwave transmission line. This is the total micro test bench and their component. So in the next PPT, next video, we will see how we can perform the frequency and wavelength measurement.